as we start the new trading week. XRP has tapped $3, or actually broke over $3 for a moment for the first time in what, about 6 months here. Right now we're at $2.98, $2.99 area. However, I will be very straightforward here. In no way am I saying that this is over at all. We're just going to look at this from a standpoint of we have now completed the actual technical move for this bull market prior to when it started. Listen to that again. Bitcoin has now hit my target from before we started the rally and we broke out in November. We had a technical target out of this cup and handle would be 122 and some change. And I'll go back to it. We have filled out that target. We have 100% filled out the bull market target at minimum now. The maximum could be 143 if this plays to September. But right now we've hit the minimum of what could have been the projected move for this entire bull market for Bitcoin. So just let that sink in to start. We measured this well before any of this happened, and now we've come through. There's one of two options that can happen. Well, three. One, we can just keep going. Two, which would be the more feasible option if we're going to try to prove bullish or bearish, we go back down to 113.5, where this ascending triangle formation, some people consider it a wedge, but I think it was a rising triangle more so. But I guess I can't argue if you want to call it that. But now the likely scenario here is everybody's excited on Monday. They thought it was going to drop on the weekend, and I said there was a lot of shorts, so the obvious thing would be that all those shorts get liquidated and we make some money over the weekend, which we made some great money over the weekend. Great money last week. To the tune, and I'm closing all of our group positions for many different reasons. But we have no positions open. And if you're part of the group trades, this is where we sit right now. The group, and we had 3 people take stuff off after. We were up 14,000, but the 3 people who decided to leave after we closed the positions took a couple $1,000s in profit too. But right now with the 31 people that are left, we've been doing this for 6 days. I'm up $3,551 in group trading. The group's up with the ones who have stayed $12,167. We've hit 9 out of 13 trades and their minimal losses on the 4. And our maximum drawdown, which is the percentage of how much money, let's say you have $1,000 in there. We're 0.4% down is our max pull down right now, drawdown, which means if you have $100 in there, you were down all of, at most, and percentage-wise, you're risking about 40 cents out of that $100 to put it in perspective. So I have $10,000 on here. I might have been down at worst, on average $40 to get up 3,500. So that's, you risk basically 0.4%. So that's what's happened. And I closed the position. I had a number of people that came to me and were complaining privately that they were losing money in the group trade. And I'm like, I apologize. But what's happening here is you're following the group trades, and then you go out on your own and you're making your own trades, and then you want to blame it on the group trade. So to me, that's kind of an insult and a slap in the face. But I can show easy proof. Like, I'm up $3,700 and the group's up over 12. You're not losing money in the group. I'm sorry. The biggest trade that was lost in the group is like $40. The biggest one that was hit was nearly 1,000, and we've hit. I mean, it's just that's the way it goes. So people can say what they want, but I close my positions for the standpoint of we hit the 122K, and I want to see how we react now. I'm not apologizing. I'm saying I apologize for the fact they're full of shit, is my point, because I can show you proof. So we got to own ourselves sometimes. And I've seen many comments where people were owning it. I did great with the group, but I shouldn't have traded on my own, and that's fine. But, I'm trying to build something universal. So all that behind us, that's what's going on in the group. We're doing spectacular. In 6 days, the group made, but the people that are left over 12 grand. I've made almost 3,700 in those days. Outside of the group, I've made a lot more. XRP, I had a nice little position outside of my spot. I opened a leverage position and did very well. That's closed because I don't know what's going to happen from here. I think I closed at 297 8 was where it stopped it out. Obviously, we're above that. But the point remains is the only positions I have open right now, besides what's in my XRP Healthcare wallet, and you already know those 2 positions, so I don't have to elaborate. I have data open still, and I have AMP open still. That's it. I even closed DGB right now to see what was going to happen. You know, and, I have ZBAC. I have ZBAC open. Those are the ones I have open right now, just to kind of see how these play out. Because ZBAC's an early outlier, and, I want to see if it's getting ready to make this move now like so many others did. And then I would just say if you're riding ZBAC at 314, if it breaks down, don't hesitate selling it. You could just buy it back down here then at our legitimate spot where we thought it could possibly hit. But it already came down here. See, that's why we just moved that to here. And we thought it was going to be around 2.2. It hit 2.3, close enough. Don't split hairs. So now if it comes back down there, but for all intents and purposes, this pattern is still set up in a big way. It's retesting an inverted hammer candle, golden cross looming. It's looking pretty damn good. So I'm staying there. I'm staying there and going to let this kind of play out and see if it either holds, breaks down. If it gets down about 10%, I might dip in a little bit more and see if I can ride it through. But I don't know, because if Bitcoin dips here, everything we see in front of us is going to go, and everything that looked great, and it'll still look good on the charts, because even if Bitcoin does drop here, a lot of the stuff that rose up so quick, they need these back tests. And the back test for like Algo and IOTA and HBAR and some of the ones who flew high, the back test would be spectacularly down. Spectacularly down. And the one thing I'll say about the copy trade, that the reason I'm so confident is we're doing it in 1x. Despite everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people wanting to do more, I'm more comfortable 1x. I do leverage on the side more than I lead on, but that's my own business, and I have to be in charge of that with my own my own way. So I have a very flawed, very real system, and I can't flaw it. So right now, my gut said, hey, you know what happened here. We got the 122 overnight. We're sitting pretty. Alchemy Pay, you were down like $280 or $300 as a group, and it got back to $60 or $40 in the positive when I sold. And I'm like, you know where you're at right now. Just because they didn't break out doesn't mean you wait for them to break out. It didn't do what you wanted it to do. If it wasn't going to do it when Bitcoin got to 122, you're going to have to wait for the retracement to see if it's meant to do it at all. Everything you had, we did a good job, but now you sit back and you appreciate it, and you smell the roses and wait for the next opportunity, because now we don't know. Now we don't know. We really don't know. And if you're in data, I would just say, yeah, it's all about personal feel. We're on the outside of this area right here. I'll be gosh darn if I'm going to sell it right here. Now, if it comes down through here and it starts to break down this area, okay, well, that's fine. And I'll start buying it a little bit lower. And that's just the way it goes. But I'm not going to get rid of it right now. There's a couple others like File I didn't really want to get rid of with the group, but just because of the way it was going, I said, it's a group trade, Tom. It's not your own. Let it come back to support, or let it come back to where it's comfortable. You don't need to sit through it. If it's your own personal portfolio, that's one thing. But when it's the group, you got to look at it different. And I like where we're at right now, though. This is going to tell us a lot about this market. Why is ZBAC way down there? Is it going to hold? Is it going to power through? Was it a big fake out? Was it something more, something less? That's the question we're going to ask ourselves. And like, for future reference, even though I would love to be in Magic right now, too much volatility, so I can't have this on the board anymore because it's not IoT or ISO, so I'm not doing those kind of trades with the group anymore. So if you're wondering, that's why that gets disappeared. But I'm very intrigued to see what direction this market takes, and we have some outliers. Like, we can watch ZBCN right now. We can watch how data reacts to the pattern breakout backtest right now. We can watch if Bitcoin goes down to 113.5. We can see if XRP comes back down to, and I know it's going to be painful, but this is how it works. If it comes back down to either 284, 272, or maybe 278, Or if it comes to 265 very hard and wants a back test. But the bottom line is here, some kind of back test going to happen here, whether we want to admit it or not. It could go to the next layer first. I thought personally XRP had a shot to go to 331 because that's the technical breakout. But if it doesn't successfully hold $3, that's off the table until we can see a back test. And it seemingly looks like it's off the table after now a fifth 1 hour candle that hit the $3 mark and came back down after we came back up to the exhaustion 1 hour wick after hitting consolidation. So we're just in a trying spot right now. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a good, nice, safe spot to be looking at it from the outside. From the, if you're looking for a swing position or if you're looking for a long position, you've got to look at it from the outside. I'm also reformulating the way I do things. I don't care what anybody says about the group trades now. If I'm opening something and it's for a longer run, I don't give a rat's ass about the conversation this time around. I just knew 113.5 was in the rearview mirror, and it was going to end up coming very closely, hitting us in the back of the head. So that's why I was willing to do it the way I did it on the way up. But in the future, if I'm riding something, I'm riding something. I don't care about the discussion in the Telegram. I don't care about the discussion in the YouTube lives. But I knew there was volatility to the downside here after. I thought 122 was the likely play because of those shorts. We talked about it before the weekend started. And that's why I was comfortable with weekend trading as well. But now it seems like this is a perfect spot to liquidate the ones who are going to get comfortable as longs. Those shorts are out of the way. There's tons of liquidations in shorts. And now doesn't it seem right that Bitcoin should, not saying it will, but it should come down to that 113.5 and retest this actual pattern breakout now. This was a perfectly executed setup to trap a lot of people coming into Monday. Because now you got a lot of people saying, well, these patterns are set up and they haven't broke down yet. And now what happens this morning? They start to break down a little bit. But now it's a matter of, are they going to play through? I don't know. I have a feeling that we could be having a volatile spike to the downside if we're going to start hunting those positioning with Bitcoin. But there are a few outliers that can play the market outside of it. And unfortunately for us, data is one of them. So you kind of got to wait for it to break that support structure because it actually is one of the big strong ones that could play this. AMP's been known to do it in high times of volatility. Do I think it's going to do it here? Probably not. AMP's a big pile of shit lately. So sticking to that same logic, let's see here. I'm going to stick to my own logic. I'm going to close this AMP position. I'm going to close at least my own personal one of AMP because I want to see how it reacts. AMP's going to have to force me to stay in. That's how I'm going to look at it now because I have a feeling that this could be a perfectly executed trap as we got up to the... I don't know why everybody keeps saying Bitcoin's technical target for this cycle is 142. It's incorrect. The technical cycle target is what is created out of the cup and handle on that, measuring the breakout point of the cup. And that clearly was measured just over 122, and we have hit that now. That's why I say I don't really care what anybody else says, because I have my own measurements. And if they have met, I believe in what I do a lot more than what somebody else says. And that's not being mean, I'm just saying that's the truth. So I have no more AMP. And here's the other problem I know. By doing the copy trading, and some of you maybe never have made money like that, for it to come in so freely and easily for a few days, you're going to get caught in this trap right now of, oh, it's just gravy all the time. And when I closed out my position earlier, people are telling me, hey, should I close mine out? If I closed mine out, maybe, I'm not going to tell you to close yours out. But if I close the group trade, I got to be feeling some kind of way. But that's the hardest part after you've had a great week, made 15 grand. And then over the weekend, I don't even know how much it was total. Probably 20 grand in the last week, 17 to 20,000. And the hardest part is stepping out of the way. But what did I do so freely? And even if it goes back up, I got $17,000 to $20,000 extra now. Market can do whatever the hell it wants. It's not going to get me. So now the next thing to do is to follow the next step. Is Bitcoin going to hold this and let us move up farther? Or is this a little head and shoulders topping reversal like we thought possibly could happen at 122? And can we come down here, please, and back test this breakout and let me know if this was a rising triangle or if it needs to be reasserted into a rising wedge style pattern. We won't know technically. It played out like a rising triangle would out of the short part, which is great. And it revalued, you know. So now you ask me, it's 118. It's 118. Are we going to hit 118? Or does it come through it? So right now we're probably seeking that 118.2. So if you're asking me if we're going to stop from hitting that 113 area, 113.5, 113.7, I don't know where it's going to actually hit. We've got to hold 118.2. Bottom line. We don't want this to go farther, but I'm telling you, this is a perfectly set up market to do exactly what it was meant to do. We rode out that moment, remember? And for all these reasons and more, you know, I might let the market dictate everything to me right now and just close it all. No, I'll put a close position on. Man, I was up so much on this already. I sold 2 out of the 3 million. So it's like, I don't know if I just want to hold the million until it breaks through here. Probably, because I made a lot on that push up. There was a nice push up. Yeah, I guess I should. Because I've clearly paid myself back and then some. So, I mean, it's not no harm, no foul here. I'm telling you, this is shakedown market, baby. It's not about how much money we could make on the way up. It's about how much money we could save when they drop the hammer again. See, that's where I tell you, don't judge me based on how much we made in a short period of time. Judge me how much you get to keep with these drops. Look what just happened here. Like, literally, I told you I had a long on XRP from 283 at 10x, and I had like $2,800. It was like a 10,700 XRP position. And I got stopped out at 297.8. And I was not mad when it was at almost $3. Because it went to 302, I put 297.8, and I said, if it comes through here, it's going to be a problem. And, like, just because I had a technical target that it developed for $3.32, I'm not banking on that. It's got to hold $3 for that to ever become a target. I know in the back of my head what can happen here. That's why I stepped out of the way for all of you. We all stepped out of the way in the group trades. Massive. And me personally, now in my portfolio, it set the stage for something even deeper now. It's insane. Like, what we did right now is gain capital for the next one. You know, and that's going to be the tougher one. Because now we got to decipher, is it going to come down to, like, Bitcoin? Is 118.2 the next target? Can it hold in this area? Right now, it's a no-man hold land. But now we got to back test drops and things like that. Ethereum's trying to see if 3,000 holds. XRP's trying to see that. Remember, 292 was the first number I gave you. This is the area. If it doesn't hold this, then you might have to go down to like 284, 278, 265 after that. Then it gets messy. But it was fun, wasn't it, when it was going up? I said, whether it's going up for a bearish rejection, even if Bitcoin gets to 122 and finishes out the actual target of this bull market, not the highest target, but the technical target. Or if it just breaks through and we have a bigger market rally. Either way, we're going to make some serious money if we do this right. And right now, that's where we're sitting. But however, the reason I start out talking like this is because I don't want a lot of people to just be like, oh, it was just so easy, and now we have to stand because it's guaranteed to reverse. Now it's absolutely not the case. We've knocked out all those zones. Now we need to see what Bitcoin's plan is. And there's no safer place but the sidelines when you're looking at this kind of momentum. There really isn't. It's so tough. So tough. Because what's probably going to happen here is you see this wider target on data. That's not even going to be valid. And then it's probably just going to test this part. No, maybe not even that. Hold on. We've got to look at the short part of the pattern to see exact. Hold on one sec. So, yeah, right here is the first target. So you're literally on the precipice here. Is data going to break out, or is the market going to become too much for it? A lot of times, tokens like this need the rest of the market to fade, you know, for them to rise. It's just, I don't know if that's the time right now. If it's in that exact moment, it's a guess, but it looks like it's in a small flag. It's over the top of the pattern. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting because it does have the inverse right shoulder. But with the market conditions, can data survive? Because data hasn't run with the market conditions. Remember, data overzealously sold off even when the market was rising. So it doesn't necessarily need the market to do what it's going to do next. Because it didn't. It sure as hell didn't use the market as an example for the big drop. So we'll see. That's the same logic with ZBOX. ZBOX kind of in the same positioning. And File, if there's a reason I talked about certain ones like File, kind of in that same positioning, except, you know, it's been a long time coming. So File could be another exception to the rule, even if the market drops. And it's at the nut buy right now. That's why I said this is the one that was tough for me for the group to just not have. Because this is the one I could see outperforming the market if it gets the opportunity. But we'll talk. We'll talk. Good morning. 11:58 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, July 14th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Is it not almost like they beat you over the head with a bat? Hey, it's Monday morning. Futures are online. No way it's going down from here. And then now we have to decide. It's true. It happens like this a lot. So now we're going to see, can XRP rise back up, hold that 292, which it has so far. So this is one good sign. The bad sign is right now we're going to go for bearish rejection, or we're going to rise up so very fast. So I'm rooting for the latter. Let's rise up very fast, but fearing the worst that we're going to go back down and back test these areas now. So let me say hi to everybody. Thank you all for the support. I encourage you to join Tom's Army. $9.99 a month. It's just a form of support. I've been doing this since March 24th of 2021. I've never missed a day. If you're in the copy trading group and you're a part of the 14,000 in profit, even though 3 of you left and now it's 12,000 in profit, join Tom's Army. If you appreciate, if you rely on, if you respect the fact that this is all free, pay it forward and join Tom's Army, because we made a significant amount of money in this past week. I guarantee it. I have the proof to show it even for the group. Well, you can send a YouTube Super Chat, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Or you could just like this and share it. As I said, the subscribers list is out of control on YouTube. One day it's up 200, the next day it's down 68, the next day it's up 85, the next day it's down 220, the next day it's up 180, the next day it's down 94. So, I don't know what's going on. We got a message about a week ago, influencers, the ones who are creators, and it said that they updated their YouTube analytics to properly measure YouTube subscribers and drops and all this other crap. Well, ever since they did that, it's been sporadic. But we've gone from 44,300 to 45,200 at least. But it's been all over the place. 45,000, 45,300, 44,800, 45,700, or no, 45,400, back to 45,000, back to 45,200 now. So I don't even know how many subscribers. So we have 45,000 plus subscribers is what I'm going to say until we get to 46, because it's ultra volatile. I'm not sure what's going on. And I found it hard to believe that 260 people would unsubscribe on the day they did, because that was the day that we had bought in the night before on HBAR, XLM, IOTA, Algo, Theta. There's a couple other ones. And the next day we were up, in like 2 days we're up like 15 grand. And the day we made the most money, and our community would have made the most money, that's when it said 260. So unless people were extremely jealous, or YouTube analytics are just off base, and it's just kind of pulling numbers however the hell it wants to, who knows? It's a crazy thing. Sean Crothers, welcome in, my main man from Maine. Good morning to you. Ben B, Oliver Marks, Crazy Poll, Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Nick Morales, good morning, friend. I'm glad to see you in here. Mark Caston, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Burn, welcome in, says, was a fun and great weekend. I'm glad you had a blast, my friend. Brian E, welcome in. Good morning to you, my friend. It was nice to see XRP at $3. We'll see how long it lasts, or if we're hit a bearish wall. Like right now, $3 seems to be like 3,000 for Ethereum. Or, you know, that's what it seems like. So we'll see. Big Dog, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Papa Wheelie and Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Ronald, Zachary, Big Ant, Ronald, good morning. Yopi, good morning, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. Tom, I left copy trade to modify, and then I can't find the way back to... Oh! I did not consider that that could be what's happening as well. Let me... And I tested out Albank as well. So I sold DGB when it was up 4%. And I sold it, let it sit in there this morning. I was thinking about buying it back. And then I said, in the high times of volatility, let me try to send USDT from Albank right before I started. Back to BitUNix, it just got there. So it took about 25 minutes. That's not horrible, especially in these high times of volatility. So that just got there. And it was, I don't know, $9,000. So... that's a great sign that it worked that quickly. So I've had no problems with Albank at all. Sometimes it takes longer on the smaller blockchains to move your stuff around. I've had one time where they didn't have enough confirmation, so they canceled the DGB transfer, and then I redid it and it went through. But other than that, Albank's been solid as hell. I've been buying XRP Healthcare and sending it to it. I've even sent some from XRP Healthcare to sell it, and it. You just have to do it slowly but surely because there's not a lot of volume. But let me stay on point. Let me go to the copy trade on my phone. I try not to talk about it as much. That's why I don't put it on the computer. I can speak openly about positions and say it's a group trade. I don't want people to really realize that we're actually copy trading. Yeah, so for the ones who are in there, they're up $12,167. My personal P&L is $3,483.34, and that's after all fees for everybody, supposedly. But who knows? That's just what they tell us. Copy link to trade with us. Let me go into the live. I'm doing it on my phone, so nobody has to see it. But we got to get into these charts to see exactly where these level points are. So here's the BitUNix link. Click on that. That's tied directly, Yopi. I just shared it. That's directly tied to my copy trading results. So that'll bring you right to that page. Oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure something else is turned on, just in case you're having a harder time. So, here. There, I turned that on too, so it makes it, sometimes I turn it to where it's not as easily viewable. I'll make it easily viewable for everybody. So, now it's easily viewable as well, so there's not going to be any hurdles. So there, that's better too. I forgot about that. And then I have $10,000 in the group trade available right now. I may lower it to 5. Yeah, I'll put it to 5 just so that it's easier. But if we go above 5, I'll try to limit it to $2,500 per position. But if we get above 5, I'll start transferring it back. How about that? So I'll take out $4,778. No, I can't do that. I got to take out one more because there was an extra penny on there. And you guys will know why in a second. It's a good omen for what I do. So I have $5,222 in margin balance there. So you guys are all welcome to join. Like I said, the group's made, who's in there right now, over $12,000 in the last 6 days. I made almost 3,700, or almost 3,500, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I hope to see more of you in there. There's 31 people following right now with over $90,000 being allowed. So basically, I'm like an asset manager, but I'm not a financial advisor. You're doing this in your own good spirit. But out of $90,000, we've turned it it was actually 78, but 78,000's turned into 90 for the group now. So that's not a bad return so far at all. Yes, Zachary, I try to keep it real because that's the only way you can understand. Big Ant, how do I? There's a link down below if you want to get into the group trades. There's no open trades because I'm not putting us in a position of volatility. That's the beauty of it. Unless it's good upward volatility. This is no man's land. This is where you get hurt, kicked in the dick. Crypto Cooter, yep. That's what ZBCN, that's why I didn't want to sell it because it is moving up from a back test. So, and it had these volatile drops first. I did sell 2 million of my tokens out of 3 to be transparent, so I'm not going to act like I didn't. After this fucking great move up on Sunday, I had to sell when it hit towards the resistance, 2 million. Oh no, I didn't sell here. When it came back down, it went up to here, and then I sold on this wick in the 4-hourly. Because I woke up and I seen it, I'm like, oh man. It was up like 5.8% this morning. I'm like, that's probably the spot because it didn't come all the way through. It's a likely resistance. Honestly, what it's teaching us is as long as the 20-day holds here, we're fine. Overall, unless 315 breaks. So I still have like 1 million. It's either 1 million or 1.222 million. But I only own right now, outside of the XRP healthcare wallet stuff. And not talking about my mining stocks and all that. But in crypto, ZBCN and data just because of where they sit. But data or ZBCN already made me more than I could even lose in profit. So even if I got liquidated all 30, whatever, $400 that's in there, I still made more on ZBCN on this trade because I had $10,000 in this trade when it went up 40% plus, and you can do the math. $10,000 plus in the trade, I should say. I don't know. The biggest thing we have to look for right now is positioning. I'm trying to explain everything that is going through my head. I know I'm sorry if it's boring for some, but if it's helpful for most, that's good enough for me. Or even if it's helpful for a few, that's fine. But this is what's going through my head. So one of the key red flags this morning was when I seen XLM up 8% and then it pulled down like 3% down where it's at now. That was a red flag. When I seen XRP go to 301 or $3, come back down to 294, hit 303 and seemingly hit a brick wall instead of powering through to 331, that was a problem. When I seen Bitcoin hit exactly around 122.2K, which is the technical target for this bull, I don't care what anybody says, as a matter of fact. I'm going to explain this again. The target that I gave my audience before this bull cycle started for Bitcoin, based on the cup and handle that we didn't even know how this was going to build out, I just did it based on the cup and set it right here. That's why it's not way over here where it broke out. I did it before this handle ever built. We said, assume there's a handle built, and we'll measure it based on the depth of the cup and assuming it breaks out. And our measurement was 122.186. We redefined it to 122.279 because it was a little bit farther out than we thought maybe based on our consolidation. It went a little bit higher than that even. But the technical target for this bull market, I don't care what anybody says, that was the technical target. Now there's an expansion zone up to 143. But for me, a big part of that was either it had to break out of this to 122 and come back to 113.5 or 7 and hold, or 108 and hold, either way. Or it had to drop out before this breakout to 91.9, fill that Chicago Mercantile Exchange gap, bounce up, and then maybe power through 143 and have a new cycle, a big cycle. But we've left so much on the table right now that it's leaning towards the fact that we're going to have a volatile drop. Because this is my scenario that at least down to 113.5 or 7 you would think would play out. Because this scenario is actually my target for the bull market's been hit for Bitcoin. Just think about that. The target we built in November, before we even knew if a cup and handle would break out and build at all, has been hit. Our foresight is fulfilled. It's fulfilled. Everything we've seen on XRP is fulfilled aside from do we break out of the cup and handle like Bitcoin and fulfill the higher target? We don't know that. This could be a failed cup and handle and we've done everything we need to do and now we go back down. So that's where we're at right now. This is not a trader zone here. It's not. The trader zone was last week before we went up to that push for. I was so comfortable on this whole push up. I told you it was scary even before the move up. I don't know why I'm so comfortable, I tell my audience. And we were down a little bit before it moved up, but less than 1.5% before the move happened. And It felt right for this move to 122, and it felt even righter after the move on the weekend on Friday. And there was such a majority of shorts. I laughed, and I came in and I was laughing. I'm like, listen, guys, I'm sorry. Go back and watch live on Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, but with all these shorts, it's got to go up to 122 first. But what happens at 122 is it's probably going to come down to 113.5 and slap us across the face. And I was hoping a lot more of these positions played out. Some of them did. Some of them didn't. Man, did we do great. We did great. ICP got back in the profit. I said, give me my $40. You're a pretender right now. File got over, got us back in the profit. I said, you're a pretender even though I don't want you to be. But for the group's sake, I'm going to take our profit. ACH got over, and I said, you're certainly a pretender having us down almost $400 on our 222,000 tokens as a group. We're up $60, you pretender. We're taking it because now you look like you're going to be a pretender, and now we'd be back in the red. So the market looked like pretender. There's two that don't look like such pretenders. AMP looked like a pretender to me. Maybe data is a pretender, but it's got to come back down a little bit for me to assert that I'm going to get rid of this. Because in a pretender's market, sometimes data, sometimes ZBAC, they like pretenders markets. But even ZBAC might be a pretender. Because we got the bears crossing the daily. There's a reason I sold 2 out of 3 million or 2.3 out of 3.3 or whatever. I think it was 3.222 million. And I sold all but $1 million. So there's a reason I did that, but I wanted a little exposure still, but I'm still uncomfortable with any exposure to anything. But there's always that silver outlier. Could it be Casper? Even though I sold that position because it was way up. You have to do it in the futures market on BITUNIX, and I keep doing it in the 10x variety. And I had $1,300 towards it, and it was up like 33% when I woke up. I'm like, oh, fuck. I got to sell this because everything in the market's looking weird. But I definitely think that this is another one that could overshadow what could come. I don't know, though. The market is acting like a bunch of pretenders here. And the market levels that we hit to break down. And I had a nice trade on Ethereum that I sold out this morning as well. I told everybody I had a 20x yesterday. But I closed all my leverage out this morning before I went to the gym. Oh, no, I think I was at the gym when it made that move. I don't remember, though. I didn't get a lot of sleep the last 2 days, and it paid off. But there's a reason why I closed this stuff. I hope it pans out now. I really do. I hope we're back testing at 3,000 for Ethereum. I hope XRP's back testing this first support at 292, like I said when it was at 299 when I started. You know, the next one would be around like, I know there's a micro one at 288, but if it doesn't hold 292, do you really think it's going to hold 288? I just think 292, that 278 to 284 area would be more likely. And then you got 265. But is it not holding 292 as a first support like it should? It bounced back to 295. And now it's back here. Like, that's how you can measure if I know what I'm talking about. Do I come here in the high times of volatility and rattle off the numbers without even having to look at the chart and it does what I'm saying? If it's doing it, I understand things without having to look at a sheet. You know, I know what I'm talking about. I hope the group trading for most of you gave you an idea of it's not about how fast you can make the money. It's about how fast you can recognize how fast you can lose it or how fast the market actually does what it does. And then you've got to have foreshadowing for yourself. Like for me, the foreshadow for me is, can Bitcoin get over that the cycle movement of where I thought it was going to go before it started? And I know it's been 38 minutes of rambling and such, but there's a lot we have to consider, and that's a lot of stuff. You know, and I'm saying it as the charts are showing it, and then hopefully as you're watching it, you can understand it more. Joy McCaffrey, thank you so much for the $20 donations. You said, thanks, Tom. Copy trades is unbelievable. Feel very safe with you in charge. That means a lot to me. If you're part of that whole side of it, I'll share it one more time. See, I withdrew from there successfully, deposited successfully. So I'm not lying to you guys when I talk. You might not see the evidence because I take it for granted that you trust me now and I don't have to show you every freaking thing. Oh, I was wrong. My P&L in the group was 3,000. Oh, because I moved more money on, so it shows different P&L. Duh. But this was what it was before I put it back to 10,000. Oh, no, there is 10,000. Never mind. So I underestimated. So that's the group. So if you're in the group, that's where you're at right now. So if anybody gives you the false illusion that me group, and I've only been doing it for 6 days, so you can only see it the last 7 days. So if anybody gives you a false illusion here, they're losing money, it's exactly that. And we're doing it on 1x trading, so consider that. There's no bullshit here. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not trying to take your money. Believe me. And if I didn't have to take a 10% profit margin because they make you, as you can see, I made $1,300. I've made the group so much money that I've made $1,300 off of my profit share in the first 6 days. Because they pay you apparently on Sundays. I can't change that. That's something BITUNIX does, that you make money, and that's kind of like the people following you. That's what they have to give up to make the money because you're doing the work. I don't have any control of that. So if people think, I don't want you to get the wrong impression. That's why I share it. But that's what's going on. And right now, there's no trades open. It's too volatile. I'm not going to put, there's $90,000 plus of your money you're trusting in my hands. I'm not going to put it in the volatile spot after the move up. Are you out of your minds? And if it goes up, it goes up. But you've made all that money, and so have I already. So we're going to do what we do. And everybody who's telling you the ISO flip is today, they are so full of shit that you need to stop watching them, because that's been what's been pushed everywhere. Yes, some of it goes online, but there's been an amendment that was all the way back in 22. We did the official documents here. I've never missed a day since 2021 for a reason, in March of 24 when I started. March 24th of 2021. Never missed a day for a reason. I shared all this stuff. It goes until December of 2028, where technically, even at that point, over 25% of total between big business, industry, banks, 25% of the total the ones using the new infrastructure, 25% can still use HTML as an average. 50%, even until late 26. It's not until 26. There was an amendment. It doesn't happen this year. I don't know who keeps sharing that nonsense. But I'm telling you, you're going to be so disappointed by listening to that kind of nonsense. It's not happening because of some great flip or because the ISO and all this shit. It's happening because of market setup right now. And there was an overzealous amount of shorts right now. So short covering, when they get liquidated, is beautiful noise for us on the way up. But once those get covered, now we have to see if we get continuation. If we can hold and get continuation, it's going to be a beautiful time. I'm telling you right now. But let's see. Bitcoin got to 120,000 without no ISO compliance utility. XRP is about IoT and not about speculation or Michael said. Are you out of your, are you serious? Bitcoin exactly got to 120K because of Michael Saylor, because of all the countries that are buying it. That's absolutely what do you mean? It got there by the biggest Ponzi method of all times. All these companies are taking out common stocks against their shareholders to buy these billions of dollars of Bitcoin because the Ponzi's gotten so big that it takes billions and billions of dollars to keep it going. And the government, I guarantee, is giving bailouts to those companies that are doing this via common stock. I know this. So I disagree with you wholeheartedly. This is happening all on quicksand. All of it is with Bitcoin. You're needing larger and larger and larger players using more unsavory methods. You know what it means when you sell common shares of a common stock? That means if I had 1,000 shares of MicroStrategy and they're taking out $3 billion in common stocks, they're overweighting that stock by $3 billion. Who cares if the price is artificially going up? What happens when all ends meet? Bitcoin has that first bit correction because we're getting close to it. And Michael Saylor starts to go underwater, or MicroStrategy, or all these companies that are loading Bitcoin. Do you know all they're doing is they're putting out loans, and as Bitcoin appreciates, they're taking out more loans against the loan they have. It's like having a home equity line. As your house appreciates, you can take out more money against your own house. But guaranteeing you never pay your house loan off. You just keep putting yourself farther and farther in the hole. It looks good on paper when it's going up. But what happens when this starts going down? And it will eventually. You know, unless the house of cards and countries and more entities continue to do this. So yeah, I vehemently disagree. I think that's how it is being built. There's no structural support here. And a lot of it's being built on IOUs, which is even worse. Which means it's paper trading So we're spending our hard-earned money, but they're paper trading an IOU. A lot of my audience has a lot to understand about crypto, but like I've said before, and I'll say it again, that doesn't mean we can't make a lot of money off of it. I don't know where else I could have went to work the last week and made almost 20 grand. That's just me being honest. So I said I don't need YouTube to make a living. I do just fine outside of it, but it sure does feel good to have the people pay it forward and have the people to believe in. And to see the audience make over 12 grand in a week, oh my God. Now, and that's just the ones who are in the copy trading. I've had tons of messages. My favorite message was somebody who said, Tom, I'm not part of the copy trade, but I followed along on my own and I made 2 grand in 3 days, and that's never happened to me before. And that message hit me, I think it was like 2,300. That message hit me so deep. Imagine trading and always having issues, and because that's the 95% of people lose trading. It's just the way it goes. That's why it's called trading. You know, if the exchanges didn't win, they wouldn't let you trade. But to hear that message was probably my favorite one out of them all. I think it was my favorite one, just because they were so excited. They were so excited. And I remember being in that exact point. I'm at a different point of excitement where I realize that I can lead a lot of asset value and not be thrown off in the least. And not switch my values. And that was big for me on this run up. Now, if XRP can hold this, Lord have fucking mercy. We'll go to 332. If we hold 292, we're going to 330. Probably. Because that's the technical run up if this doesn't fail. Some will argue that, well, we fell from 302 to 292 real quick. That's a 10% drop. And I would argue back saying, well, we came up from 224. So, even lower, actually, if you want to be real. But from when we actually started this run up a few days ago. So, you know, there are bumps in the road. UK Phil, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Ali, it possibly could be following that dragon pattern in the weekend. I mean, in the weekly. Because it's so tough, though. Because I feel like in the weekly, we're trying to break out here. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not afraid of holding my XRP and just keeping it in the wallet. I'm not afraid in the least. Even if it went down to it, I don't care. I know what I'm holding right now. And I know what I've already made. And this is the part of the pattern. You'd be out of your mind on a weekly candle like that to just get rid of it. You can do fucking leverage if you want. If you can do swing trading with other parts, I don't care what you do. But you kind of got to let this play out in a sense. Especially if you've been holding it with us since 34 cents. Like, you're 34. Let me put it in perspective. Our $3,400 is worth $29,500 right now on 10,000 tokens. That is huge. We're back into demand. Is this going to be the time of demand that we finally break out? And are we finally in that confirmed wave 3? Because everybody says wave 5. I think this is only wave 3 if it's actually breaking out. Actually, this is part of the wave 3 move. But that weekly suggests that we're breaking out. Can we hold the demand zone? Because some people say it's distribution. I disagree, because every time we come up for demand to try to break out, we end up fading. Eventually, we're not going to have that fade. Remember that. One time, it's not going to fade. The only reason it would fade right now is if Bitcoin goes to 113.5 and XRP back tests like 284 area, 278 to 284, which would be great if it's going to hold. It would suck if it's not going to hold. But the hit on 292 is fantastic already. So hopefully we start cooking. We could start cooking. You know, but... And the weekly Bitcoin's trying to break out. So... That's our decision. If we cook from here, we go to 143. If not, because we've hit the technical pattern setup and breakout and technical target, but out of the cup and handle for this pattern cycle, that's been fulfilled. But now out of the pattern creation we made out of the cup and handle to get us to 122, we've technically created a wider side up if we can go bullish. Would be 143. If we go completely bearish, now we fill that CME gap at 91. That's probably what we're looking at here. You know, short term, yeah, there's micro movements. But in reality, we're probably looking at long term. Are we going to 142 or back down to 91? That's probably what we're staring down with Bitcoin. For XRP, we're probably staring, are we going in the short term to 332 or back down to 265? is probably what we're staring at in the short term. You know, for XLM, you know, go along the similar pathways. For Ethereum, we're deciding, are we going to the golden pocket at 3,164 roughly? Or are we going back down to like 2,870 to retest that last move up that sent us parabolic in a sense? We don't know that yet. That's why we're so volatile right now. But I'll tell you what, it sure is fun doing it together. Like right now is ACH, because that is one that I really want to hold with the group. Is ACH still in the position? We're in the 4-hourly. We're back testing. And is it the proper place though? Because I'm inclined to think we should continue here. But, you know, you can't be certain. I think the altcoins that are set up in a certain way should continue. So, you know, it's a little bit lower. And, you know, I want to see what some of you say towards the bottom of these comments about possibilities. Because if you are part of what I do in the group, I just want to see a simple yes or no on ACH. Type in ACH if you're willing to hold it in the group, good or bad. But you would have to hold it, and I wouldn't sell it until it broke down this formation. Just like I did with the other ones. And then I would try to rebuy back at 1.7 if it broke down, if it came down. You know, but it's basically relied on Bitcoin. That's why I started out so strong with the Bitcoin analysis. And to see where we go with Ethereum and to see where it goes in that kind of a drop. Because now we're technically in that zone where we've back tested. And now if it holds, we can be good now. We should be good. If it doesn't, I've given you the other levels. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod and also being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Shane, thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And that is my face superimposed on that emoji badge. Nunya, welcome in. You're welcome, Yopi. I'm glad you've seen that link. That is awesome. Rumors China's digital yuan wallets halted or stopped to use. I don't know. I didn't hear anything about that. I haven't been paying attention to that. That is interesting. We'll take a look at that in a minute. John, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. I'll try to get into XDC, but we're in some urgent matters right now about ACH. Some have Murphy's Oil. Excellent. If I missed you, I apologize. Tom just cashed out 20,000 of my 70,000 XRP for 60 grand. Going to be able to buy a house in cash. Thanks to you. This was the rest I need. Oh my God. That is so awesome. I remember when you bought these some time ago and you said you needed it at a certain price and you kept asking me questions. We talked about targets that as long as you played it true that you should be okay. Man, that's a big sweat off your back. And I got 50,000 XRP without having to worry about needing to cash that 20,000 XRP out. And you got 60 grand out of it, probably. I remember you said you needed $3. I remember this too. We've talked a lot about it in the lives. You needed $3. I remember, and you asked me a lot if it was going to happen. And I said, you're okay. Might take time, but you're going to get your $3 at least one more time, even if we're bearish. I knew we were going to at least hit it. Because that was that big rejection area. Even if we're bearish coming back out of, even if we had $1.50, that makes me so happy. Let me read this. He said, Tom just cashed out 20,000 of my 70,000 XRP for 60 grand. Going to be able to buy a house in cash. Thanks to you, this was the rest I needed. Much love to you and your family. Thank you for everything and God bless. Thank you so much for that. That's why I do what I do. It's legitimately why I do what I do. Not just because you were able to do what you did. I did the same thing. I bought my house and I had a mortgage of $140,000 after the down payment and stuff. Got a great deal on it, but within a year, because of things that had transpired within crypto and gold and silver and mining and precious metals and everything that I had invested in, and some from Julie as well, we were able to pay our house off back in 2020. 2023, end of the year 23, and not having a house payment that would have went up now with the property stuff after they reevaluate. I was paying $1,300 a month for the first year, and right when I went to pay it off, that next payment after they redid the property tax and everything in the house, the value from like a family owned to a new owner, even though it was still Julie's family, she didn't qualify because she's just a cousin of the person she bought it from. Used to be her grandma's house, but then her aunt got it, and then her daughter of her aunt got it, and then she bought it from, well, we bought it from her cousin. We actually didn't have any money when we bought it, but we said we'd buy it within 18 to 24 months, which it was impossible at the time, but you know, you work hard and you make it happen. So then we paid it off at late 23, and that payment would have went up to $1,865 when they reevaluated it to the new owners after the first year. So you're talking an extra $500 a month. So not having that house payment is a miracle, especially paying it off, you know, before I hit 40 was the true miracle. Because when I was 30, I had a real heart-to-heart with myself and said, you're fucked. You're out of your mind. You've let your injuries and all this government bullshit and just all of it, because I had a broken back and all these injuries and stuff that I was still coming back from after fucking 6 years. And then I finally said enough of it. One step at a time. And now when I got to 40, I had a paid off house and I figured all this stuff out, went back to work and did stuff I probably shouldn't have done before I... Anyhow, the point is it's not made overnight. But look at what Joseph did. He's paying the house off in cash. And now some people would say, well, why are you going to sell him at $3? He has a plan and he still got 50,000 XRP. Let the man cook. He just cooked a new house in cash. Take this, a very big learning lesson of what you could do as well if you're on the other side of this right now. Because not too long ago, Joseph was a little stressed out because of the market movements, but he stayed true to what he knew. And now look what he's doing. Congratulations, Joseph. Like, seriously. Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Welcome to the paid off house club as well, because there's no better feeling. Crypto Kuda held ACH and lost $100 on it already, so I'm iffy. It's a good 50-50. Can you do TA for Quorum Solo? Let's go, fam. Not today, because it's already been 57 minutes. But I can definitely keep it in mind. I'm not saying I'm going to buy it right now, because it's too volatile. I'm saying it's already failed what I wanted to short. It's not that it's breaking down. It's just with the market conditions, I need to see some kind of evidence that Bitcoin is in fact holding this area and not trying to go to 113.5. Yeah, I need to see some evidence now, and I need to see evidence that Ethereum can stay above 3,000. So, you know, I'm not buying nothing right now. I can promise you. Mike says, hey, Tom, I am here. There is nothing soft on my body right now, brother. I'm fired up. That's what I like to hear. Mike is a ruck, so to say, and not because he's a statue. You know, but it's definitely flattering to hear how much I entice and excite this audience. So, touche, Mike. AUB, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom Zone for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. Jose, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom Zone for over 1 year or 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon Badge. I know I seen Frankie Fresh in here as well. Thank you for being in Tom Zone for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. Let's see. Wow, Bitcoin didn't even tap the FEG. It left behind Wicked just above it, and now it's a hammer on the 4 hour. Yeah, that's why I want to see if we can hold and actually move up, but 4 hourly, my friend, could be interesting. It's got 3 hours and 24 minutes, and this candle is technically a dangerous candle if it doesn't play through in reverse in this next 3 hours and 23 minutes, because it engulfed to the downside. It made a new low. And it's got some pretty heavy downward momentum. The other reason I'm looking at this as a little bit scary this morning, and I'm not saying we're going to break down by any means. I figured that first part would at least happen, but you got volume coming in. Consolidated right here, right? For a pretty lengthy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 candles, or 11 candles, no, 12. Then we started pushing up right here after this little consolidation. This candle got us, let's see. 316 Bitcoin. This candle got us 136, 137. Not exactly what you want to see. And then we start pushing up with 239, which is less than where we started. Then we got above, so this is a good sign at 369. Then you got the 193. Then all of a sudden you get a sell candle after a reversal of 517. And you parlay it into the first, literally 38 minutes of this candle, and you've already got 211. So you're basically outperforming the buy candles with sell candles. To me, that's interesting. There's some information there within information that you just got to pay attention to. And to me, you know, it's got to break out of that bearish bias and for Bitcoin. Now, some of these other ones are flying still. They came down for consolidation, and they've done it exactly like it's supposed to right now. So whether they move up to the next layer or not, it'll be decided. It's come up to the technical target here. Whether it melts back up and retest that 30 cent, 31 cent area is a good question. Or do we fall right out? This is a very dangerous spot right now. Or it could be the most opportunistic spot you're going to find today if it does rally up real quickly here. So, we need to get back test 268 in the next 2 days for bigger push on the week. Hope this plays out. I did a short. I went 301. Yeah, Paul, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. That is exactly why I talked about that area. It does seem that would be where we could back. I mean, it certainly should back test with volatility 265. But yeah, I mean, as of now, it's going to look good until it doesn't. Especially if these play off the back test. 292 was the first real test for XRP, and it's held it so far. So, but I'm going to go. My son's ready to hang out. I got stuff to do. I tried to put out as much information in as short of amount of time as I could. XRP, remember, still hasn't finished the technical target of 332 if this pans out. Volume still coming in. 4 hourly. Interesting candle, but it's not bad for XRP. This is not a bad candle. Put in a nice reversal. Just got to make sure it doesn't turn into some kind of weird long leg doji that comes up here to about $3 again, gets rejected, and then just pulls down. Definitely. So there's a lot I'm watching here. There's definitely a lot I'm watching here. So we have a big week going on here. I'll be watching very closely until we meet again. Have a blessed day. And I'm gonna evaluate right now because, like I said, my gut did not want to sell file as a group. It's just a lot of things were being said in the group, and some people were uncomfortable. And there's a couple others, like, I want to see how they react because I definitely want to be in some of them, but I still want to see if these candles do end up playing down or if it's just a consolidatory front here. Casper's another big one that I want to see if this bounces off of. Because I'm going to end up buying this on my own, Casper, more than likely. And I'll just play it unless it falls out. Again, done it many times. But it's just a matter of what this ends up doing. I don't know. Bitcoin's in a weird spot. Everything's in a very weird spot. Like AMP, Golden Cross here. This should be the best spot to buy in. Good opportunity if it's going to play up. Same thing with data. Best spot if it's going to play up. Same thing with Alchemy Pay. Best spot if it's going to play up. So what I'm probably going to do, and if you don't want to be a part of this, take some money off the copy trade right now. You've got about 15, 20 minutes to do that if you want to. If this stays in this port and I see the 4 hourly come up and it's starting to break back into a top heavy candle to where, you know, that's going to be my limit part around 2163 to make that decision. So that's about how much time you've got. Same thing with, you know, like there's just a couple of them that it's that same positioning. So I just want to see, I wanted to see what happened with Bitcoin, and right now it's doing what I wanted it to so far. XRP did what I wanted it to at 292 so far, so the first sign is good. We hit that first level of, oh boy, and now we're going to see if we start hitting some parabolic moments. So be blessed.